So this makes the individual feel himself to be a factor of isolated importance. Well, there is the illusion immediately. We have the factor of ahamkara. Ahamkara is this principle of I-ness, which seems to condition human consciousness increasingly from the time of individualization. If you look at the word isolated, you will see the influence of the Sun and Leo in their lower meanings, in the way they impact the human being from a lower perspective. So we oftentimes think of ourselves as isolated individuals, but if we think deeply about what we are, how we are sustained, what we inbreathe, and what we express, we shall see that all manner of energy flows coming from all possible directions and forms prove that isolation is an illusion. One of the great problems of evil in the world today, and Leo is considered in some ways a very materialistic sign when it is expressed in a lower manner, and a sign related to the Black Lodge. One of the great problems is egoism, or egotism. Egoism is the philosophy of the isolated individual, believing that he is a reality, and egotism is the selfish result of that egoistic philosophy or belief. So there are times when we may feel isolated, but the ageless wisdom will help us see the relationships of the unit of energy that we are, the relationship between the unit of energy that we are and the many other units of energy in our immediate vicinity and far beyond our vicinity as well. So modern interpretations, he says, fail to emphasize the importance of the rising sign, the ascendant. Now, you know, at the 9 o'clock position, if you look at the horoscope as a clock with 12 hours, we find the point at which the ecliptic and the horizon intersect. That point is all important in astrology and depends very much upon the exact moment of your birth. And that point is one of the most spiritual points in the horoscope and is the conduit for soul energy, although there are other ways to interpret it as well. It is for the person who has no soul contact of a conscious kind. It certainly cannot be interpreted as the main conduit of soul energy, because the person is simply not aware. But for the awakening individual, the higher meaning of the ascendant is the energy which impels us in the direction that the soul on its own plane or the solar angel would have its personality achieve in a particular life. So the reason that he says that the rising sign has not been much emphasized in astrology is because very few, the fact that only a few have been as yet ready to function as souls. Now there are many, you know, the rising sign also has a very material meaning. It can indicate very much the nature of the physical body, and it has a lot to do with one's lower sense of identity. And some of the astrologers who are not into the esoteric aspect of the science have called it the mask of the identity. In other words, they consider that the sun sign is the true identity and that the rising sign is simply a mask. Well, if the rising sign indicates the physical mechanism and pretty much the personal vehicles, one can see how it would be a mask for the sun, since the sun is said to represent the personality. However, like the rising sun sign, the sun also has a number of different meanings, all the way from very physical to very spiritual. It is, after all, a star. He goes on to say, small allowance has been made for the energies which play upon our planet all the time from other constellations, or from the many hidden planets. Now, by the other constellations, we are not only talking about the zodiacal constellations, we are talking about the some 36 classical constellations, which Alice Bailey discusses in her book, The Labors of Hercules. And interestingly, 3 of these constellations are associated with every sign of the zodiac, or rather with every constellation. So let's just say if you're looking at Scorpio, you will have the serpent constellation, you will have Ophiuchus, the serpent handler, and you will also have Hercules. And all of these are part of the Scorpio experience. And now modern astronomers have named perhaps 88 or more constellations, going beyond the original 36. So this naming of constellations is very much coming from the mind of man and his projections of his own psyche into the sky. There are even constellations which represent man-made instruments, like telescopes, for instance, and there are others as well. About the hidden planets, I would like to refer to a quotation from Master DK. I have that in another document. Here we are learning that there are approximately 70 hidden planets in our solar system, but if we are a little more careful, and now I'm going to go to another reference. Pardon the rapidly moving text. We will see here that there are as many as 115, more than 115, and of course that number 115 is a little suspicious. Is it a symbolic number? Because it is divided into 2 1s and a 5, which is exactly how you divide the 7 planes. The logoic plane is esoteric, the monadic plane is esoteric, that's the 1 and the 1, and the next 5 are the Brahmic planes, beginning with the Atmic plane. Atma, Atmic, Buddhic, Manasic, Astral, and Etheric Physical. But anyway, more than 115 planets hidden. And some may be hidden because they are etheric in nature, and some may simply be densified planets and not yet discovered. So let's see what DK says about this in an excerpt from a treatise on cosmic fire. The true figures in connection with any planetary scheme and its occult activity are not ascertainable by the man who cannot be trusted with the significance of the other planetary bodies of great number within the solar ring-pass knot. It's almost as if we have to learn something about the lower lives, of which we know very little right now, before we can be trusted with the true significance of the normal planetary schemes, especially the sacred ones, and even the synthesizing schemes, which are sacred but have even greater spiritual status. So let's just say it is probably likely that we will learn a great deal more about Mars and Pluto as non-sacred planets before we learn the full depth of the meaning of Mercury, Venus, and Vulcan, and so forth. We know something about them, but there are mysteries concealed in their nature. So we're not going to be given the true numbers, the true figures, and the planetary lore is going to be somewhat denied to us. Now he goes on, the other planetary bodies of great number within the solar ring pass not. The entire solar sphere is full of such bodies, characterized by the same features as are the 7 and the 10. There I think we're talking about 7 including non-sacred planets and the 10 including synthesizing planets. But actually there are probably, he tells us, 12 major planets, of which 5 will be non-sacred and 7 will be sacred. And each of these other bodies in the solar system has the same types of principles and vehicles, and each of them has an effect upon the whole. So we are really not playing with a full deck of cards here. Figures, therefore, cannot be considered as final until the effect of the lesser planetary bodies upon their immediate neighbors is known, and the extent of their planetary radiation has been gauged. Well, this is certainly a task for the Aquarian age, when the science of subtle energies will be keenly developed. But we have to pass through the last stages of the veils, materialistic veils of the Piscean age. You'd normally think, well, Pisces is a very refined and sensitive and tenuous and ethereal sign, and that's completely true for the higher aspects of its nature. But it is not true for the lower type of response which forms give to the Piscean energy. The very first keynote of Pisces, go forth into matter. So it can be extremely veiling and materialistic.